Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Better Call Saul, Season 5. As always, the season begins with a black and white scene from the future after the events of Breaking Bad, where Saul Goodman has changed his identity and is managing a Cinnabon in Omaha. But he's become increasingly paranoid that someone's going to discover him, and indeed one day someone does. But it's not the cops or the cartel, it's just a dude who used to live in Albuquerque and recognized him from his commercials. But Saul freaks out. He calls the vacuum cleaner identity changing guy like, hey, I need to change again. But then he's like, you know what, never mind, I'm gonna handle it. So now, back in the past, Jimmy McGill has just gotten his law license back, and he's excited to start a new practice representing the criminals that he's been selling burner phones to because they're all gonna need a lawyer sooner or later. Only problem is they know him as Saul Goodman, and so it's happening. Jimmy gets his doing business as, and Saul Goodman's reached his final form. He hosts a big event to rebrand himself as a lawyer and gives out his last batch of phones with his number on speed dial. He gets a little carried away though and offers 50% off legal fees, which, might encourage people to commit crimes. Now Jimmy's girlfriend, Kim Wexler, is mostly supportive of this. It's awkward though, she just bought him a briefcase with Jimmy McGill's initials, and an even better gift, his iconic world's second best lawyer thermos. But now let's check in with the Cartel. Nacho is still running things up here under the supervision of Lalo Salamanca, who is kind of a micromanager, but Lalo's main priority is his feud with Gus Fring. At the end of last season, he was tailing Ehrmantraut and almost discovered the secret meth lab Gus is building, but they come up with a good cover story and everything's settled for now. The Cartel wants Lalo to stop bothering Gus because Gus is a big earner for them. But Lalo's good friends with his uncle, Old Man Hector Salamanca, and these two both hate the Chicken Man. As long as Lalo's in town, it's too dangerous to continue construction, so they send all the Germans home. But Ehrmantraut feels real bad now about having to kill their leader, who he was friends with. He's like, hey Gus, I don't want to be a cartel triggerman, so he quits. Also secretly working for Gus Fring is Nacho Varga, who Gus is forcing to spy on Lalo under threat of killing his father. He's like, hey, you need to make Lalo trust you, and soon Nacho finds a way when their drug house is found by the cops. They're gonna seize a whole load of drugs, but Nacho jumps from the roof, busts in there Batman style, and gets out without the cops finding him. He just saved the cartel a ton of money, and Lalo's like, yo, you're loco, man, I like you. But one of their guys was caught, Crazy 8, going to jail, so Nacho goes to his favorite lawyer, Saul Goodman. Now Jimmy doesn't want to work with the cartel again. In season 1, Tuco Salamanca almost killed him in the desert, but Lalo is a much friendlier, easygoing guy, and working for the cartel pays very well. So Saul Goodman's on the job, but Lalo doesn't want him to get Crazy 8 out. He wants him to snitch, specifically on Gus Fring's side of the operation. And now coming in to take this case from Breaking Bad, it's Hank Schrader of the DEA. And also, of course, his partner, Steve Gomez. It all goes according to plan. Nacho warns Gus, but he can't move his cash without tipping his hand, so he takes a pretty big hit. Meanwhile, Ehrmantraut starts drinking again and picks a fight with some ruffians who stab him. He wakes up not in a hospital, but in a beautiful casita down in Mexico. It's Gus Fring's secret sanctuary. It's like, yo, Mike, I need you. Mike still doesn't want to work for the cartel, but Gus Fring's like, yo, I kill people for business. The Salamancas kill people for fun. We are not the same. And ultimately, what Mike cares about most is providing for his granddaughter, so he's back on Team Fring. Now, Kim Wexler's career's going great. She gets to spend a lot of time doing what she loves, helping out pro bono clients. But it is the bank, Mesa Verde, that pays the bills, and they're trying to build a new call center, which would involve kicking this old man off his land. Now, Kim doesn't think of herself as a heartless, high-powered lawyer who's about to kick an old man off his land so a bank can build a call center, but she kinda is now. Kim goes to Mesa Verde like, hey, you own the lot down the street, just build the call center there, but the bank doesn't go for it. Kim has a bit of a crisis. She brings in Jimmy like, hey, I need your special skills for this. So when they come to evict this guy, Saul Goodman is now his lawyer, and pulls a stunt where he changes the address, which will take a day to clear up. But the next day, he scattered broken pottery around, which might be Native American artifacts, and will take a day to clear up. And every day, there's something new that's gonna cost him another day. But Mesa Verde's still not backing down, so Jimmy pulls out the big guns, doing what he does best, making cheesy commercials. But now Kim pulls the plug, like, hey, we gave it a good go, but it's time to admit defeat. But Jimmy goes behind her back and continues the plan. He's this close, he can't let go. He's made a whole series of cheesy commercials with ridiculous claims that will never hold up in court. But that'll take time to disprove, and by then they'll have already aired, tarnishing Mesa Verde's good name. So finally, Kevin's had enough. He gives in, makes a handshake deal with Jimmy to let the guy keep his land. So Jimmy's all excited they won, but Kim's like, yo, Jimmy, you played me. He's like, I'm sorry, baby, I hid it from you to protect you legally. And she's like, I can't live with this if I can't trust you. So this might be it, the final straw where Kim dumps him. Or, if they get married, then they can share everything and have spousal privilege. So their vows are to tell each other everything, especially Jimmy when you don't want to. So Kim and Jimmy have their cute courthouse ceremony and are set to live happily ever after. Except, of course, it's a prequel show. We know they don't. What terrible fate awaits them? Now, with Ehrmantraut Ehrmantraut back on Team Fring, he pulls his own magic to get the cops onto Lalo's trail for the guy he killed last season, and soon Lalo's arrested. He has a fake identity though, they don't know they've got a cartel leader. Saul Goodman's working his legal defense, but it's like, don't worry about that, just get me out on bail and I'll go home to Mexico. If you get me out, you'll be a friend of the cartel, which means mucho dinero. Now Lalo can still run things from prison. In fact, he wants Nacho to burn down Los Pollos Hermanos. Of course he tells Gus, and so it's Gus Fring himself who sets the frozen turkey deep fryer timer, which gives you just enough time to make it across the street and not look back at the explosion like a badass. So Mike goes to see his old friend Jimmy like, hey, my boss wants Lalo out on bail and back to Mexico too. So Jimmy hires a fake family to prove he's not a flight risk, and the judge agrees to set bail, but mostly as a joke cause he makes it $7 million. Turns out though for Lalo, that's no big deal. He just needs Saul to go pick it up. Jimmy knows he should say no, but he'd do it for a cool $100,000, and Lalo's like, no problemo. So Jimmy drives out to the middle of nowhere, where he meets Lalo's cousins, the murder twins, who give him the money without saying much. So this was the easiest $100,000 anyone's ever made, until it's not. Armed men show up, and being a friend of the cartel isn't helpful when you're on the wrong side in a cartel war. But oh, what's this? There's a sniper who's here to save Jimmy. Oh, it's a big firefight. In the end, Jimmy's guy wins, and it is old man Mike Ehrmantraut who just came down to make sure it went smoothly. The cars are all shot, only Jimmy still runs, but it doesn't last long because it was shot too, and they've got to abandon it in the desert and walk home on foot. An extraordinarily long walk home through some of the harshest terrain on Earth. It is a grueling episode that really makes you feel how difficult this is. Soon they run out of water. It's like, hey, if you're thirsty, drink your own piss. Eventually Jimmy's ready to give up, but Mike Ehrmantraut gives him the pep talk they gotta keep going. One of the guys from the shootout got away in a working vehicle. If they can snipe him, maybe they can take it, but oh no, the car ends up totaled, and all his water was lost too, so finally Jimmy has no choice. Oh, gross. Eventually they make it home alive, and Jimmy hands over $7 million in bail, which raises some red flags, but Lalo will be long gone by the time they figure it out. Now Mike was not supposed to be there, so Jimmy needs a cover story. He's like, yeah, my car just broke down, had to walk back. Lalo's like, wow man, you really went the extra mile. I'm gonna leave you a 5-star Yelp review. By the way, who was trying to steal the money? Turns out it was just the other cartel guy who thought keeping Lalo in prison would end his feud with Gus. Thanks, man. Now Jimmy does not tell Kim the full story of how close he came to death, but she realizes when she finds the bullet holes in his thermos. She doesn't push him about it though, because Jimmy is clearly scarred. When she's back at work doing boring bank stuff, almost losing Jimmy puts into perspective what's really important in life, so she quits her high-paying job at a prestigious firm, abandons Mesa Verde to do pro bono work full-time. So Lalo Salamanca's heading back to Mexico, except he has a last-minute change of heart, because he realizes if Saul Goodman just had random car trouble, why's his car in a ditch and covered in bullet holes? So he shows up at Jimmy and Kim's apartment like, hey, tell me the story again. Jimmy sticks to the story, but Lalo keeps asking to hear it again, and even though he's still friendly, the threat of murder is tangible in the air. Finally, he's like, yo, I saw the bullet holes, and it's Kim who steps up and takes a big bluff. She's like, look, this is New Mexico. You leave a car on the side of the road, someone's gonna shoot it up. She really lets him have it, and this could go either way, but Kim doesn't crack, so Lalo believes him for now. So Jimmy and Kim narrowly avoided death. They decide to take a little staycation, and now it's time to go back and talk about an ongoing mini-plot this season with Jimmy's old rival, Howard Hamlin. He feels bad now about how he treated Jimmy. It's like, hey, I should have stood up for you against your brother Chuck. So he now offers Jimmy a job at Hamlin McGill. Yeah, Howard's trying to be a better person, but this rubs Jimmy the wrong way, so he goes and throws bowling balls at his car and continues messing with him, like sending prostitutes to interrupt his business lunch. Finally, Howard's like, I'm sorry if I offended you, Jimmy. I was just trying to be nice. And Jimmy's like, yo, it's laughable that you think I want your pity, and he launches into what I would call an epic, unhinged rant. Howard goes to Kim like, yo, I think Jimmy needs help, but Kim just laughs. She's fully on Jimmy's side. So now, in their hotel room, they're having fun talking up ways to mess with Howard, like putting Nair in his shampoo bottle. But then Kim's like, what if we went after his career, like framed him for doing some malpractice? Actually, that would force them to settle the Sandpiper case. Yeah, the big case with the old folks home that he's been working on since the beginning. If they settle now, Jimmy would get about $2 million, but that'd be going too far. I mean, they're just joking around. But Kim's like, wait, I mean, are we joking? Jimmy's like, yo, we'd have to set Howard up for doing something unforgivable. It would ruin his life. Like, you're not willing to do that, are you? But Kim's like, hey, I think I might be, so watch out for that. Meanwhile, Lalo goes home to Mexico, where he's got a nice happy compound, and he decided to bring Nacho with him like, hey man, you deserve a promotion. They go to the never-ending cartel pool party and meet the big leader, Don Hilario. It's like, hey man, this is Nacho, he's super cool, and the Don takes a liking to him, so good for Nacho. Except Nacho's still caught in this double agent crossfire. In fact, Gus Fring's planning to assassinate Lalo tonight. A few times this season, Nacho's like, yo Mike, I've done good work for you, please let my dad off the hook. And Mike agrees. He goes to Gus like, hey, Nacho's done enough, but Gus Fring does not agree. mystery. So he gets a secret call, open the back door at midnight. But guess who can't sleep tonight? Lalo's right there having a beer. Nacho's gotta improvise, I'll get us some tequilas, then oils up a pan to smoke up the kitchen. So when Lalo runs off to see who burned the pizza rolls, Nacho goes and opens the gate to let the death squad in. This should have been a nice easy job, but Lalo gets lucky, then more than luck, he goes into beast mode. He's got a secret bathtub escape tunnel and crawls his way to freedom. But when the death squad goes to follow him, oh, he came back to the house, gets behind him, and takes them all out. He makes him radio in that the job's done, but there's no need for an interrogation, cause he knows this was Gus Fring. And with his new best friend Nacho suspiciously absent, he knows he betrayed him too. All season long, we've only seen smiling Lalo, but he's not smiling anymore. So Lalo Salamanca is coming for vengeance. And that's how Better Call Saul Season 5 comes to an end. If you like this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.